What's up, guys? This is Jay from COI, and I want to talk about Christmas. Christmas is known for many things: gifts, of course, Santa Claus, snow, trees, those stupid commercials you see where people buy each other cars and like nobody actually does that for Christmas. Um, but the one thing that we can always count on is the suicide rate rising. Without a doubt, the suicide rate always peaks this time of year. And I think the reason it does that is because of the things I just mentioned. It's this idea that we have to buy Christmas. The average family spends about $850 during the Christmas season. Now, how can you spend that much money and not be depressed? Think about it. What did you get for Christmas last year? What did you give your kids? What did you give your parents? Unless you can really say like that made a huge impact on your life, you probably barely remember. And it takes at least a little bit of time to be like, oh, yeah, I got that thing. But we stress over it so much that we ruin Christmas. And I think we need to take some time to create our own traditions. We've kind of followed this path that corporate America has given us about buying into everything. We got to buy the best gifts. We got to get out and buy, because that's how we show we love each other. Which is ridiculous when you think about it. It's actually the laziest thing we can do is just to buy something in lieu of actually spending time together or having that quality time that really does make a much bigger difference in people's lives. I can tell you that riding around in a truck, my dad was a truck driver, riding around with him when I was a kid was like far more impactful than any Christmas that I've ever had or remember. And to be quite honest, I don't remember most of them. And I'm sure you don't either. Most of us really don't have that memory. In fact, usually it's kind of clouded in this idea of being in PJs and running down the stairs and snowy outside and all these big presents are wrapped and there's a big tree and wonderful dinner. But if you could go back to it, you realize, oh wait, we didn't have stairs in the house. It wasn't snowing, it was hot outside. There was four presents for me. You know what I mean? Like we paint a picture of what it was because that's how it's supposed to be. But I don't think that's how it's supposed to be. And I think that's why we have so much depression, anxiety, and ultimately suicides this time of year. So, what I'm doing with this is I'm going to give you guys some tips on how to de stress this time of year and to also give you a challenge. The challenge is to spend less than $200 this time of year on all your gifts. Now, if you've got like more than four kids, then you might be in some trouble here. But if you've got no kids to two kids, you can do this. And one of the things to do is to start probably now, a little bit earlier. It's what I did about a month ago. I started just telling people, like, look, don't be excited about anything I get you. I'm not going to spend a lot of money this year. And pointed out even to my 7-year-old, I'm like, what did I get you for Christmas last year? And it's like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really mean that much. And I'm lucky with my 7-year-old because he loves the traditions, the things that we do together, the decorating the tree and stuff like that. He hasn't really cared about what he gets. But you put that thought in all of your family members' heads. Like either I'm not gonna get you anything this year, or don't be too shocked when it's like a $5 or $10 thing. And I actually think in lieu of buying something, you should make people something. You should try to do something different. Like I'm gonna make a cake this year for my parents and my family. We do our get together. I'm gonna bring the cake, but I'm gonna actually try. I'm gonna watch an episode of Nailed It, and I'm gonna try to make one of those. and I'm going to get my kid involved, and it's going to be fun. And that's what we need to do is we need to try to bring the fun back in all this stuff. Um, One thing that I think is a good idea is to not rely on the cable networks and Netflix and Hulu to pick what you should watch. You should come up with your own ideas. Come up with a list. Tell your family, hey, let's all come up with one TV show or Christmas movie or something Christmas related that we want to watch, and then we get together and watch it all together. And there's so many. Like for me, my favorite Christmas TV show episode, whatever, is Community. I think it's like season two. It might be season one. I don't know, but they did a whole stop motion. It was cool. Everyone has their favorite Christmas thing, from The Office to I think Rick and Morty is a Christmas episode, and that might not be appropriate for children, but the point is to take those things and make them part of your tradition. Um, Cooking, baking, uh, putting up gingerbread houses, making candies, making candles. There's so much stuff you can do, and you can incorporate that time with like your kids or your parents, and actually bring that to be the most important thing about Christmas, not what's under the tree. Um, the other thing I think stresses people out is there's not a lot of us who actually have a week off for Christmas. Most of us have like the same 2 days, and maybe we'll get Christmas in there as a day off. If you're lucky, maybe you get Christmas Eve and Christmas, and then your 2 days off. But for the most part, we don't have that. So what we're working on is trying to see every member of our family while we're still working our full-time job. And quite often, and I'm sure a lot of you experience this, especially if you're married, you're angry most of this time, or your spouse is angry because you just got off work and now you got to go see your in-laws. You have the day off, but I gotta go. I have to leave the house. I have to go spend time with family of some sort. Now I've decided, like, my tip on this, I guess I should say, is like Christmas Day is just for your intermittent family. If you live with your parents, then it's just like your mom, dad, whatever. And honestly, if you live with your parents, you don't really have much say in what you do. But those of us who don't, just make that about your family, spouse, kids. Um, if you're single, your mom, dad, your siblings. Really try to overextend yourself because that in itself is what makes a lot of us get stressed. Is we only have a few days. We have this idea from shows and movies and everything that you're traveling and you're spending a week off and you're doing all this stuff with your family, but no one does that. Not very many people. Most of us are working class stiffs. And we got to go back to work the next day. And you're even more angry because you're broke. The free time that you have, you're having to put on a fake face to sit there with your in-laws or even with your family. You're not doing what you want to do. You're just in a bad mood. So one fix I found to this is around this time is when families start asking, like, hey, when do we want to do Christmas? When do we want to do this? Be assertive in this and say, look, like, these are my days off and I can work in that range. And if they can't do it, just be like, okay, well, I'll come by and see you on my day off. That's when I do Christmas. Don't promise yourself out too much. It's just not worth it. And like honestly, why be there if you're going to be cranky anyway? Now the other thing I think is important around this time of year, at least schedule 1 or 2 days in this entire month to go out with a friend and have like a drink or two. Not like a lot. And, trust me, if you do that every weekend, you don't have to follow this tip. But you do need an outlet, like somebody who you can talk to. Because if you sit there with your spouse or your close family and you're complaining about all this, they're gonna get offended. But you still need that outlet, and you need someone to just be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe my my wife's dad. He's such a dick." Whatever you want to say, but you need that. So you should definitely schedule in like once or twice, and you can tell your spouse or whoever, hey, I made a plan with Ben this weekend. He wants to talk to me about something. Just take that time for you. You need a little bit of that time, especially in this when you're chasing down presents, you're meeting with every person you've ever known. It's a really stressful time. And again, I think the whole goal is that we create our own traditions and we start over and we say, look, I'm not buying you an iPhone 11. That's over $1,000 for a dumb gift. It's not worth it. We're not going to go broke for presents that are just going to be out of date in a few months. Take the time to enjoy your family. It's, I know, probably much easier said than done, and it's going to be difficult. But that's why I present this challenge to you. Do you think that you can spend less than $200 on Christmas presents and Christmas decorations? It's going to be hard. Cause you to use a little bit of your DIY skills and really think outside the box. And for some people, they probably can't. Not because they don't have the ability, but because they've already promised somebody that they're going to buy them one electronic, which is over $200. But when you think about it, we on average, again, to the lower class, it's not going to be this much. To the upper class, they're going to have way more. But on average, we have about $200 to $300 that will not cripple us if we spend. All I'm saying is try to stay in that range if you can. It's a challenge. I know I'm trying it myself this year. Let's see what happens. I'm not really worried, but I do know that that could be really difficult for a lot of people. Anyway, guys, I just thought I'd bring this up. Do you have any ideas of Christmas traditions or anything like that you could tell people? Leave them down in the comment section. Um, Love to hear about them. Like I said, everyone has a bunch of different great ideas. Um, but let's just try to make this season actually about the fun of Christmas, the joy that we had when we were kids. Take away the worries of taxes and debt and chasing down a Tickle Me Elmo that is going to be thrown in the garbage in the next couple of years. And actually just enjoy each other, enjoy the time we have off. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. Have a good weekend.